This video is to show you how to do LoMO. So we did it in class a few times, and basically I'm going to review what we did. Remember that LoMO is a technique that was used with film cameras where the photographer would use a color slide as their film, and then they would process the film using 35 millimeter standard chemical. And what they would do is get a contrast, a better color contrast or a higher color contrast and more of a saturation. So this is called cross processing. Since we're doing this digitally, we can do it using Photoshop and using the cross processing techniques there. So the first thing that we want to do is start off with a vignette. So if you don't remember how to do a vignette, what I would recommend is check out the vignette video, and that will take you through the process step by step. But really what we want to do is get this black, the corner edges for our vignette. And I kept the layers here so that you could see what we did. Basically just select at the around the subject, deleted it, and then put a black background behind it. So the first thing that I need to do is flatten this. I don't want to, I want to keep this in case I want to see what it looks like beforehand. So I'm going to keep it there. This is the background. It's not, it's being hidden and it's locked. So what I'm going to do here is right click and merge visible. And what that does is it creates one layer for that whole vignette process. Okay, now what I'm going to do is go up to image adjustment and curves. And I'm going to use this curve adjustment. Remember that curves literally picks inside of your picture. This area represents every the darkest area, and it continues on and represents this area here, the very lightest part of your image. So everything in between will be of the different shades of shadows and highlights and midtones. So what we're going to do for this LoMO is create something called an S-curve, a very slight S-curve. And basically we're taking our lows and our highs and emphasizing them a little bit more. And we're getting this look. So I'm going to click OK here. And we added that right on top of our image. So you can kind of get a look at this. I'm going to go to history panel and remove the curves for a second, just so you can see what that curves just did. Really just pulled out some of the contrast in our picture. And you can use curves as an adjustment for your pictures that have like maybe needing to be toned up or something. That slight S curve is a great thing to use for adjusting. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to take and add a new layer, and I'm going to go to the layer palette, and I'm going to pull this out. Let me push this back in. The layer palette here, and I'm going to add a new layer, which is this icon right here. And this layer is going to stay above the backgrounds layer. So layer 1 is going to be above the backgrounds layer. I'm going to go over to my paint can and I'm going to drop in a black foreground color. So again, D on your keyboard resets the colors, and make sure that the black is on the top, the foreground color, and drop in black. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to change this to a hue. And this is a nice way of making my color, my image black and white. I can also, and I noticed that while I was showing people how to do this, if you don't have your color exactly on black, if you have it on a different, like something that looks a bit black, you're gonna get different results. Let me just show you. Let me go back, make this look almost black. So this looks just about black. I'll drop in this color. You can see that even though it looks black, let me try again to see if I can make it look even more black, but not actually black. Drop in this color. I'm still getting that hue. It has to be absolutely black or you're not going to get the black and white look. Okay, now I'm going to mute the color, meaning I want to bring in some of the color, but I don't want it to be full force. So right here is how I'm muting the color. I'm making the opacity of this layer, the layer 1, the black swatch that's on top, not completely opaque. So about, about there, insofar as my opacity. Okay, so that's basically how you do your muted color and pulling up your highs and lows through that S curve. The next thing I want to do is merge this down again. So I'm going to merge the visible, clicking on one of these layers, right click, and merge visible. So now I'm back to one layer again. Again, if you want to see, this is where we started, and this is where we are at this point with this picture. Okay, the next thing I want to do is really just bring home this idea of the LoMo and the cross chemical process. So I want to really bump up my focus. So the first thing I'm going to do is change my mode to something called luminosity A and B. I'm going to not merge it. I'm going to go to my channel layer. So I'm in my layers here. I'm going to come down here and grab a hold of channels, which is this one here, and I'm going to go to lightness. Then I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to go to sharpen, and I'm going to choose the unsharp mask. And again, here I want to kind of really just make that focus real clear, even like hyper focusing it. I'm going to try like a 50 here. The LAB makes it so that the LAB mode makes it so that you don't have the real glowy edges. When you over sharpen something, you'll see a glowy edge around it, and it kind of looks, like you sharpened it. So this LAB kind of makes that not so much. By the way, threshold is something that would make it duller. For LoMo, we don't want to do that, but if you were trying to take a picture that was blurry, bringing up the threshold might help it. At this point, I like what's going on with this picture. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to go back to my layers. And what I need to do now is go back to my image mode and choose my RGB. I'm not going to merge this. And here we have it. So now we have our hyper sharp, nice contrast, highs and lows, a little bit exaggerated, and this is what you call LoMo. So if you want to try this, again, the first step is creating your vignette, and then from there, follow the directions. And it's really a two-step process. One is the S-curve, and then the other is the unsharp mask. Have fun.